Welcome back, everyone, to the High Tempo Sports Podcast, episode 143. Today is a phenomenal day to be a Detroit Pistons fan,
yes,
just
sir.
like it has been the last couple days.
I've realized I only have one Pistons shirt, so I'm wearing a John Morant jersey today. I only own one Pistons shirt. It doesn't fit me anymore.
I was going to say, you can't wear it today? Or
But it doesn't fit me.
what about the new one you just got?
Oh, dude, I should have wore that one. Oh, what was I thinking?
Whatever. You wear it next time.
I was thinking we might match would be the issue.
Oh, yeah.
I
have a variety.
I didn't think that. I just didn't think about that. I forgot that that's not my shirt.
Well, we're here Sunday morning, here to talk about the draft, because obviously it was such a great draft. Looking back on Wednesday when we did the podcast, Jeremy Grant got traded to the Portland Trail Blazers for nothing, pretty much.
Literally nothing.
Got traded for a 2025 protected Milwaukee Bucks pick. We all know that pick's going to be nothing. Some Pistons fans were pretty pissed off about that. You and me had our mixed feelings, but we said, you know what? We got to trust Troy Weaver. We got to.
He's made two iffy moves his whole career.
Exactly. And it's just like most of the iffy moves he's made have panned out.
Yep.
At least they've made sense in the long run. And so we're like, you know what? Let's just rock with it. We thought it was going to be more of a free agency type of move, like clearing up cap space. Nope. He turns that pick into acquiring Jalen Durant and Kemba Walker to take on Kemba Walker's contract, but specifically adding Jalen Durant, which we ended up trading Jeremy Grant for a lottery pick, which
is exactly what we wanted.
Which is exactly what we wanted in the first place. Yeah, it took a couple steps in between, but
makes no difference.
Yeah, exactly. So shout out to Troy Weaver. Obviously, we got Jaden Ivey as well, which adds to the master class of Troy Weaver. Mm-hmm. But what a phenomenal draft from the Detroit Pistons.
It's pretty awesome to watch both Detroit sports teams just come out and fleece everybody in draft day. It's awesome to see such aggressive general management.
Yeah.
Really going out there to go get shit done. Trading Jeremy Grant. I wonder kind of if like he had already talked to the Knicks about like, yo, like I know you guys probably want to dump Kemba's contract. Like, what if I get you a pick? And then we can just trade that for Kemba. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, we got to give you more than that. Well, you can't just trade us a pick, you know. I can't believe everything that went on. Because it was the most confusing thing ever when it first happened.
Obviously, yeah, because we get Jaden Ivey at pick 5, which it was what we wanted the most. You know, we wanted Jaden Ivey. I didn't really think he was going to be there. I thought the Kings were going to end up taking him. He's there. We get him. It gets reported that the Knicks are really trying to still get Ivey even after we picked him. So it was like, okay, you know, we're not going to do that, but sure, you can try all you want, Knicks. And then you see the Knicks have traded for the 13th pick and are selecting Jalen Durant. And then you see the Pistons are acquiring Jalen Durant. And immediately the thought is, did we just trade Jaden Ivey to the Knicks? I thought that for about 0.5 seconds.
Yeah,
and then I realized to myself, no, dude, there's no way we just traded him. And then you end up seeing what actually the trade was. And it was like, because I was just thinking, like, what else did we give up? Like, there's no way we just gave up that pick that we got in the Jeremy Grant trade to get Jalen Durant. There's no way. And it was.
It literally was. Like, I don't get how the Knicks thought that was their only option. Like, did they have nothing else to do with that pick than to just trade it for nothing? I mean, that pick that they traded away, it has a very good chance of being the 30th overall pick. And maybe the 32nd if the NBA expands in the next few years. They could very well win the championship in 2025. The Bucks could.
Well, I don't even know if they got the pick. I don't know if it ended up going to Charlotte or...
No, I think Charlotte got all...
Or they got one of the picks
from Denver.
That they got from OKC.
The Denver pick.
Yeah, you're right. They did get that Denver pick.
And then like a couple seconds, I think.
Yeah, so like there was a bunch of picks moved around. But anyways, the Knicks ended up not getting anyone in the first round from having pick 11. And they traded for pick 13 just to trade it to us. So Troy Weaver continues to fleece. They said that Jalen Durant was one of their favorite guys in the draft. They was even thought about taking him at pick 5, and we get him at pick 13. Like you just said previously, to see the general management in the city of Detroit be this exciting is such a new feeling, and I feel like we're already taking it for granted.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. The last 2 drafts from the Lions and the Pistons have been W's. We get Penei Sewell in 2021. We get Cade Cunningham in 2021. And then in this previous year's draft, the Lions make an aggressive move to trade up, get Jamison Williams, along with getting Aiden Hutchinson.
Yep.
and Troy Weaver does the same exact thing, trading up to get Jalen Duren and selecting Jaden Ivey. It's just like, it's not even a biased Detroit fan saying we won the draft.
Everybody says
when
it.
everyone is saying the Pistons won the draft, the Lions won the draft, it's like, this is awesome, and it's brand new, and I love it.
You could actually go back 3 years to the Pistons. For the Pistons, I mean, Sadiq and Isaiah Stewart were both draft day trades, right? Yeah. I don't know about Sadiq, but I know Beef Stew was.
Yeah, they both were.
That is 3 straight years of Troy Weaver being the best GM on draft night of any GM. There's nobody that's touched him in the last 3 years when you look at them all together. And it is just so awesome to know and look at this roster and think whatever Troy Weaver has done his due diligence. Now it's up to them and the rest of everybody else. He's made all the right moves. It's now just putting it together and on the floor. If Jalen Duren doesn't work out, I'm not blaming Troy Weaver. He made an awesome move to go out and get him. I'm not going to consider it, because initially it was awesome, and that's what we needed. The excitement is there for these Pistons, especially with Jaden Ivey running that combo off guard next to Cade. Sadiq should flourish this year as a scorer.
And Ivey ends up in the place where he wanted to be the most. The next day press conference with Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren was awesome. Jaden Ivey getting the jerseys of his grandfather who played for the Lions and his mom who played for the Detroit Shock, and then his dad who played for Detroit Country Day. It's just like,
how perfect.
And obviously he gets his jersey. Like, it's just, and how emotional Jaden Ivey was. Like, it's just awesome I'm happy for him. Not even that he went to the Pistons, just that he didn't go to the Kings.
Yeah, facts.
Because he clearly didn't want to go to the Kings, and you could tell how happy he was to end up in Detroit by how emotional he was, which makes me so happy as a fan.
And it's a perfect landing spot for Jaden Ivey, who his biggest question mark so far has been his defense and his defensive mentality. We know he has all the skills, all the athleticism, everything you need to be a great defender. He just hasn't put it all together. Well, now you're in the hardest working city in America under a great defensive coach in Dwayne Casey, surrounded by some of the hardest workers in basketball right now.
Dog mentality. Yeah.
Cade Cunningham, the leader of this team, might be already one of the hardest working guys in the league with how much he's working. Beef Stew is one of the hardest working guys in the league. So you throw Jaden Ivey in there, there's no way he can't follow suit.
He's not going to come in with big head ego mentality. No, he's like locked in. I want to be the best player I can be.
I want to contribute to winning basketball is what I hope his mindset is. And I think that's going to be everybody's mindset from here on out for the Pistons. How do I contribute to winning games? Bradley Beal has the great quote of, how many guys in college score 20 points a game? None of the top 3 picks this year in the NBA draft averaged 20 points per game in college. Way under. They contribute to winning basketball in many other ways. I hope Jaden Ivey locks into that ideology. You don't need to score. You can go out there and score 10, 12 points per game and have an insane impact on whether or not we win or lose based on everything else.
And the points will come with winning.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, you're not just going to score 10 for his whole career. It might start off that way, but...
and winning basketball is what moves you up the ladder. You look at what people think of Russell Westbrook now. His stats are all there. The winning isn't, so people don't like him. You can, the third best player on a championship team will almost always be viewed as, more of a contributor than a great, great player on an awful team.
For example.
Absolutely. Draymond's perfect example.
Yeah, and I just think, I talked about this before the draft, before we even got Jaden Ivey, but the Pistons is just a perfect spot for Jaden Ivey, not even just because I'm a Pistons fan, because like you said, defense is one of his biggest question marks, and the other one is his playmaking ability. He's a guy that in college, he's a phenomenal attack in the hoop, but a lot of the times he's got tunnel vision on the hoop, and he's not the greatest, playmaker. But when he's going to be next to a guy like Cade Cunningham, where he doesn't have to be the main guard, it's going to take a lot of pressure off of him to do that. And obviously, I think it will help him become a better playmaker because he's surrounded with Cade Cunningham in that backcourt. So it's going to take off a lot of pressure for him to develop that playmaking skill.
I think this is a biased Pistons fan talking. I think this backcourt will grow into one of the best backcourts in the league.
I don't think that's biased at all.
In the next 4 or 5 years, I think they'll be right there. This could be our Jason Tatum and our Jaylen Brown here. We could have just stepped into that with Cade and Jaden Ivey. And it's pretty amazing that we were so fortunate for him to fall.
Yeah.
And the Kings to make the wrong pick. Well, not the wrong pick yet, but we'll see.
Quick prediction, deep prediction right now.
Yep.
Who will end up being the greatest backcourt in Pistons history? The current one of Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, or the up and coming one of Cade and Jaden Ivey?
Don't count out Chauncey and Rip. That could easily be right there.
You're right.
Like Jaden Ivey and Cade could not touch them.
You're right.
If they don't win a ring. I'm really hopeful it's Jaden Ivey and Cade cutting him, but Isaiah Thomas and Jordan, they did it in the greatest era of basketball in most people's minds. Before Jordan, they were the Jordan stoppers during Magic and Bird's dominance. So they did it. That's 3 of the top 5 players ever, or 3 of the top 10 players ever that they dominated. And so probably not, but I'm really hopeful they get there.
Yeah. I'm just super excited, like, as a Pistons fan. Obviously, we got to take on Kemba's contract, but we are going to buy him out. So that takes off about $9 million in money for our free agency. Depending, I mean, Kemba Walker could give some of that back. A lot of the times when guys get bought out, they will give some of the money back to the team that's buying them out because it's a nice thing to do as a team. But we will get into our Pistons free agency talk because there's a lot of, question marks now going forward as far as what's the move next. But I think we should continue to talk about the draft while we're here, hop into our winners and losers of the draft, because this is the part that everyone wants to hear.
Absolutely.
The winners and losers of the draft, everyone wants to know what they think. Obviously, we don't really know who the winners and losers of the draft are until like 5 years at least down the road.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, what would be fun? It would be fun to look back at like past year's drafts and make a winners and losers like
now.
Now, because you actually can make a real, like, this is just what we think are the winners and losers.
This is a prediction,
Pistons,
damn near.
I mean, like, Ivy and Durant could just bust.
Yeah,
then,
exactly.
I don't think they will, but like, you never know. So let's get into it. Let's start out. We'll go. Should we do all winners or go back?
I think we should alternate.
Yeah, I think we should too. Let's start off with the winners. I think we each are going to have an obvious one on the winners here. So I'll let you go first.
One of my winners, which you think is the obvious one, is Jaden Ivey. How awesome is it not to go to Sacramento? I could have put the Pistons here, but the Pistons is so obvious. But like you said earlier, Jaden Ivey clearly did not want to be in Sacktown. And who does with a name like Sacktown? What an awful nickname for your city.
For real.
So I took Jaden Ivey instead of the Pistons. Shout out Jaden Ivey.
Yeah, I have the Pistons / Troy Weaver as my first winner. Super dumb, obvious. Everyone is saying it. Like, and that's why I feel like as a Pistons fan, I really haven't realized like how crazy this is that we are getting like this global or this national attention of the Pistons won the draft. You go on TikTok and you see the winners and losers. The first winner, Pistons. It's every time. So obviously they are a winner, and I'm so dumb excited.
Yeah, we're not used to this. Usually as Pistons fans in recent memory, in the last 10 years, we sit there after every draft and, I wish we could have drafted like this team. But now we're that team.
Yeah.
Man, I wish we would have made moves like the Pistons did. Blah, blah, blah. Sacramento's probably sitting there going, shit.
Yeah.
We could have done something
Imagine
like that.
being the Knicks, dude.
Dude,
like,
Knicks trash.
We're going to do all this just to give Jalen Brunson $30 million. All right, your first loser.
I'm going to connect it right to Jaden Ivey. Keegan Murray, that poor kid. You got shipped to Sacramento. Granted, you're going to make more money than you would have because you are the fourth overall pick. But, man, it sucks. I don't know if he wants to go to Sacramento. I don't know what it is, but it would be. I bet you would enjoy it a lot more if he was in a Pistons jersey.
And I feel like you could say he's a loser, not just because he ended up in Sacramento, but just because of the pressure he's going to have from getting drafted by Sacramento.
Yep.
I like that you said him and not the Kings, because as much as everyone wants to hate on the Kings for not taking Ivy, like, I still think Murray's going to be a great player.
I think he could be as good.
Exactly, and we both wanted Murray if Ivy wasn't there. So the Kings themselves aren't a loser. I like that you have Murray, though, because he's going to be under so much pressure now to not bust, and him and Ivy are going to be connected to each other their whole careers. Like, I do feel bad for him. So
yeah, that's
a great loser to have.
It's going to suck to be him in the next 5 years watching. It was a competition for the 5th pick. Well, who can fall to the 5th pick better? Because you might be watching in 5 years, Jaden Ivey's got a ring, and you're sitting there haven't made the playoffs still.
Yeah.
Granted, I think the Kings will make the playoffs.
What a crazy
soon.
world we live in that, like, the better option was to fall to Detroit.
Better option was to get picked later to go to
Detroit.
Yes.
Like, that's wild.
That's hype, man.
That's hype.
People want to play with Cade, and that's a true statement. People have said it multiple times. DeAndre Ayton has said he would love to be a dynamic duo with Cade. I guarantee Miles Bridges is thinking, man, Melo Ball's a great passer too. But there's this other guy who's also really good in Detroit where I can rap with.
Exactly. And he can be with Ashton.
Yeah, facts.
All right. My first loser is the New York Knicks. I mean, for several reasons. I wrote down all the reasons why. First of all, this isn't the loser. They did end up getting Trevor Keels in the second round, which is a good pick. Second round pick, you know, the
Desmond
only guy
Bane.
they got. Yeah, all that drama with Desmond Bane and Kendrick Perkins.
Ja.
Which, by the way, Kendrick Perkins on the draft.
Get him out of there.
It's just like
setting him up for failure.
I like Kendrick Perkins. I really do. He's a good entertainer. He's a good analyst. I think he's funny. But he's not a college basketball analyst. Like, he's not a college basketball guy.
Yeah, it sucks that Jay Billis is right there, and he's not the guy doing the comparisons.
And Jay Billis, like, clearly knows a lot. Like, the dude probably watches more college basketball than anyone in the country.
Yeah.
And then you have Perkins, who, like, maybe watched the March Madness.
Yeah, probably watched Final Four.
Yeah, exactly. So
it was just setting him up for failure. Like, it kind of sucked that Desmond Bane took it personally, because, again, it's like, Perk doesn't know any better, dude. He's never watched this guy play. He's seen 6 highlights that you're watching on TV right now.
Duke to watch Paulo, and then, who's this other guy on Duke's team right here?
Yeah.
Oh, he looks like Desmond Bane. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, that was wrong of Desmond Bane, but it's cool.
But the reason I have a Knicks as my first loser, first of all, they tried their asses off to get Jaden Ivey. Couldn't do it. The rumored package included Cam Reddish. It included a couple of them first that they traded from OKC. So they pulled a Philly Eagles like in the NFL draft where they acquired assets to try to move up to get somebody, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, so now you just wasted all your
exactly.
Now you just have assets sitting there.
Except Philly just said, all right, fuck it, now we'll just trade for AJ Brown. Whereas the Knicks are just like, oh, now we can't do anything.
Yep.
You moved out of 11 to get more picks, and then you moved 13 and then moved out of it. So like as a Knicks team, you're relying on free agency a little too hard, I feel like. You cleared up this cap space now. You dumped Kemba Walker's contract. But let's be realistic. Even if you go out and sign Kyrie Irving, how much does that exceed your team as the New York Knicks? Like, you haven't had a good guard in so long, but you add Kyrie to this team, which you're probably going to have to trade for him. So you're going to trade away some of those picks and a player or two.
Cam Reddish and all those picks, probably.
How does that make your team, like, any better? I get Kyrie's really good, but he's got the risk. And then the worst case scenario, or not worst case, but like Jalen Brunson is obviously a worse player than Kyrie Irving. You go out and pay $28 million a year for Jalen Brunson. How good does that make your team? It's just like you're relying a lot on free agency when you really still should be trying to do it through the draft. Yes, you have all these picks going forward, which is nice, but I don't know. I think the Knicks they've relied on free agency in the past.
And it doesn't work.
Clearly, it's not worked out. The Knicks are not like how it used to be.
Yeah,
So
that was what I was going to mention. The Knicks free agency history is horrible.
It is.
It's absolutely awful for a team from New York. You'd think they would be able to get some free agents. They don't. Every single year, they're in the top conversation. Oh, I might go to the Knicks, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever does. Nobody actually goes to the Knicks.
Yeah.
So it's an awful setup. They're one of my losers. I'll get that out of the way. Mm-hmm. Just because, like you said, they do all this. Well, now we have cap space for Jalen Brunson. There is a great chance Jalen Brunson goes right back to the Mavs. And it's just like you might have done everything for nothing when you had Jalen Duren sitting in your hands.
Yeah.
And you traded him to dump cap space, $9 million. Man, that just seems like a stretch of a move. Mm-hmm. Seems like a serious stretch.
Does. All right, next, back to the winners.
Winners. I'll connect it right to the Knicks. Kemba Walker. You are out of New York now, man. That's awesome. You are going to get bought out by the Pistons and be able to make your own decision on where to go. Hopefully somewhere where they want you to contribute.
The Knicks, not where you're going to get benched.
Yeah, not where you're going to get benched, even though like you're he's not that great anymore. But hopefully he can go somewhere where he's wanted and can get some minutes. I would like to see him go into like a winning team's role again and maybe play backup minutes. I would love to see him be a backup veteran.
His
a
fall
winning
off was
team.
pretty hard.
Yeah, and it really sucks because it makes his whole Charlotte career look even worse because it's like, yeah, no wonder you went off. You're the only guy on the roster other than Al Jefferson for a few years.
Yeah.
So that really sucks. I'm really hoping he can go contribute on a winning team here soon to revive his career and revive the way or change the way people think about him.
And it was like when he got signed by the Knicks, it was such like a cool story because he's back in New York and everything. And then it just like didn't work out at all. And it's just like kind of sad. Yeah. Like I thought when they got him, it was like super dope. Like,
I thought it was genius. He had all of his biggest shots in his NBA career and his basketball career were in Madison Square Garden. So it really did suck that it didn't work out at all.
My next winner is the first overall pick, Paolo Banchero. Kind of obvious, but like you end up getting the biggest payday out of any guy on draft night when, I mean, maybe he did expect it, but no one else did. None of the media did. The Magic threw this crazy smoke screen, I guess you could say, at who they were going to take first this entire time. Maybe they had a last-minute decision, but...
I might even call it a magic trick.
I like that. It was a magic trick. Getting Paolo Banchero, I mean, you went first overall when you weren't supposed to go, till second or third, most likely third, and you end up getting the biggest payday going to a Magic team where there's a lot of young pieces to grow around you. I don't think any of the top three teams have a better scenario, I guess. A lot of they're pretty three similar teams, so either way, a dub for Banchero to go first overall.
Yeah, get your bag, man. Get your bag up. And it was really cool to see how he reacted and responded. He is a much more both Jabari and Paulo are much more likable than Chet. Chet is just not likable.
It's facts.
He's just not. He's just annoying. He seems like a little kid still. And Jabari and Paulo are just cool ass dudes. Chet is just not. He's just not cool.
No, definitely not. Next, back to the losers.
Back to the losers. Let's go with LaMelo Ball. And the argument with the Hornets, and it's going to go to the Hornets. You had two picks, 13 and 15. Most likely you don't want both those guys. But you traded away the guy you should want more. We were going into this draft saying, man, Jalen Durant would be perfect next to LaMelo Ball. Lob threat, can move his feet really well, defender. What an awesome guy to stick to next to LaMelo Ball. And they got Mark Williams, who should be great. 7'1" center with really good at blocking shots, but just not quite as mobile and offensively gifted as Jalen Durant may become in his career. So I'm going to say LaMelo Ball is a loser because I think it would have helped LaMelo Ball's career move forward if they would have had Jalen Durant or Mark Williams. I could be wrong in the future. This is one that is kind of up in the air. I was looking for another loser, and I thought, maybe not the Hornets because they did kind of make a good move. I just wish they would have kept the other guy.
Right.
Trade Mark Williams, but granted, we don't get Jalen Durant at that point.
The losers are definitely harder to make than the winners.
But 1,000% a loser, LaMelo Ball. Really sucks. I was really hopeful you'd get Jalen Durant and you could roll from there. There's a good chance you don't get Miles Bridges back this next year. So your lob threats just went and they're gone.
Yeah. Hopefully James Bouknight can get some minutes so you can throw lobs.
I would love to see James Bouknight finally play.
Because he'd catch lobs.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Is he going to play?
Yeah, like Gordon Hayward isn't catching no lob.
Yeah, exactly.
He's done lob catching.
So I'm going to connect that loser to mine. I got Charlotte Hornets as a loser. Not because they traded away one of the picks, though. I mean, I definitely think that was I understood why they did it, obviously, because, they're a team that's still trying, they made the play-in tournament last year. They're trying to compete. They don't really need to take on two rookies. I get trading for a future pick.
After your last rookie didn't play.
Yeah, exactly. Your last two rookies, Kai Jones really didn't play either, and they had 2 first-round picks. So I understand that, but I think not being able to dump Gordon Hayward's contract is going to haunt them because you really don't have the money to bring back Miles Bridges now. It's kind of set in stone at this point. You never know. Maybe Miles Bridges doesn't get a crazy offer from any other team, which I doubt is going to happen because it sounds like he is. But you might still be able to get him back. But the fact that you traded away one of your picks and weren't able to move Gordon Hayward with it is such an L because now you're going to lose Miles Bridges. You're losing out on a young rookie that you could have brought in. And like you said, you're stuck with Gordon Hayward, LaMelo Ball, and Mark Williams. I mean, obviously there'll still be a decent team, but for a team that has high aspirations to continue to grow, made the play-in tournament last year, it's not looking crazy bright for them going into free agency. Who knows? Maybe they could make some trades or something in free agency, but as of right now, I have them as a loser because of that.
So why don't they have the money to get Miles Bridges? I thought they could match anything he gets.
They can, but I don't know if they
want to.
I don't know if they want to because then they're going to be in crazy cap hell if they do. And so it would have been a lot easier if you were able to get off of because they have Hayward under contract. They have Terry Rozier under contract.
Oh, I forgot about Terry Rozier. Scary Terry.
TJ Washington is a restricted free agent who's probably going to get a decent amount of money. So you're either going to lose him or you overpay for him. And,
So tell me if my idea is crazy here. The Charlotte Hornets should have gotten as many rookies as they wanted. This is the way it works in my head. Because eventually you're going to, you want to pay Miles Bridges. You want to pay LaMelo Ball. You still have Gordon Hayward, Terry Rozier. But to be able to go over the cap space for guys that you drafted because you drafted them, it just seems like it makes a lot more sense to, once you're getting ready to compete, get rookies who might be able to contribute in 2 years, and then you can pay them whatever. Look at the Warriors did with Jordan Poole. They got Jordan Poole, a guy who they can now pay this offseason because they drafted him, even though they are in cap hell. They have an insane amount of money in their system, but they can pay Jordan Poole. They drafted him. So that's kind of my thought process is like, once you get to the point where you want to compete, to me, that's when you should start using your draft picks and really being like, we need guys who can grow into players for us that we can pay later down the road and get over the cap space. That's why I love what the Pistons are doing. We have so many guys that we can just keep paying now.
And we have such great cap flexibility right now, too. So
I'm super pumped for what's going to happen. But that's just kind of my idea of what you should be doing as a building team.
It's a little different as like a Warriors team that already has success and already has everyone locked up. Like, because the Hornets are different because they have their star players are not locked up yet. LaMelo Ball is going to be next offseason getting a crazy bag. So they are just trying to figure out who's going to get that money. And with Miles Bridges there, going to be demanding a max contract, it's going to be difficult for them to add any other pieces going forward. With Gordon Hayward already on a max, you're going to have to max out Miles Bridges and max out LaMelo Ball with all the other connecting contracts in there in between. So we'll move back on to winners. The next winner for you.
My next winner is...
video good, though.
Yeah. My next winner is the New Orleans Pelicans. You traded away Lonzo Ball, or let him walk?
Traded him, but it was
you
got Tomas Satoransky and Garrett Temple. So.
And that looks like a bad move right now. That definitely looks like a bad move. A team that was in need of a point guard. You had CJ running the point guard a lot last year. Whether you like it or not, he's just not a true point guard. But you go out this year and maybe get your Lonzo Ball replacement in Dyson Daniels, a tall guard who can play defense and is known for his playmaking ability. That sounds a lot like Lonzo Ball. I'm really hopeful that the Pelicans made the right pick because this team should be a lot of fun in the next coming years. You think about it, their starting lineup in the next 2 years could be Dyson Daniels, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Jonas Valanciunas. Yeah. That's a roster. That is a damn good roster.
Too,
yeah, absolutely. And Jose Alvarado, a guy that was undrafted that you got.
Yeah.
Just what an awesome job it seems like the Pelicans are kind of doing. They've seemed to be making a lot of the right moves, but getting rid of Lonzo was one of the wrong moves. But they might have just fixed that with Dyson Daniels. So we'll see.
I also had the Pelicans as a winner. Same reasons. I mean, they're a team that clearly likes their big wings and big guards. Obviously, they have CJ McCollum, but last year they ran a lineup of CJ with Brandon Ingram at the 2, Herb Jones at the 3, Jackson Hayes, and Jonas Valanciunas. So it's a big team. Might as well go add a 6'8" point guard that, like you said, is a great playmaker, great defender. Obviously, you got to work on his shooting, but that team is pretty good at shooting already. So, and he's going to be a great lob threat for Zion. They have Herb Jones. They have a lot of bigger players already. He fits that perfectly. And they got EJ Liddell at pick 41 in the second round.
Pick.
A guy that was supposed to go in the first round. Definitely could be a steal of this draft, 100%. Yep. So, yeah, I like the Pelicans draft 100%.
Yeah, it's really cool. They're kind of doing the same thing that it feels like the Pistons are doing, where we're going to get talent, and then we'll figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
We're just going to get the talent on the roster, then we'll work from there, which I think is the way to do it. It seems like what the Pistons are doing. You look at, we're kind of loaded at center spot for a team that wanted DeAndre Ayton. But, hey, we're going to get talent, see what happens later. We're going to have trade talent at some point, but that's the way you do it. You can't trade things that aren't valuable. Well, if we have 4 valuable centers, 3 valuable centers, you can trade somebody. Somebody will want them. My next loser, Twitter users. If you were watching this draft through Twitter, man, do I feel bad for you. Because that 13th pick shit was confusing.
And I tried not
hell.
looking at it, but once I saw the Pistons made a trade, it was like, all right, I have to figure out what's going on.
And we tried figuring it out for 8-10 minutes until the final trade went out.
Yeah.
A half hour later, we had it figured out in our head, but we didn't know the exact details. But man, if I was just on Twitter with no buddies around, I would just be frantically texting. What is going on? I'm so confused. Tell me what's going on. Can you figure this out for me? Poor Berryhill. Berryhill was at home and just alone as a Pistons fan. I would be scared. Is Jaden Ivey still here? Blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. Because no one knew what was going on, dude. Nobody. One knew. It was so
Shams
hectic.
and Woj were just as confused.
Yeah.
Granted, they both reported different things, but they were both right.
Yeah.
Which is just hilarious. Good job, Shams and Woj. But let's take a step back real quick. Before the draft started, me and you were talking about, Shams or Woj. And I said Woj. I said, not a huge fan of Shams. I flipped the script. It took Woj way too long to remember who Troy Weaver was and remember his name.
That is very true. He said the Pistons GM.
Yeah, shut up,
someone
Woj.
says it in his ear. Oh, yeah, Troy Weaver.
Yeah, shut up, Woj. Shams for life, man.
I will say, me and Easton tried, and I definitely was trying to avoid being on Twitter through the draft because obviously they tweet out the picks before they come out. The TV was a little behind anyways, so once it got to the 20th pick,
then you're on Twitter.
I turned my notifications back on, and I saw who was getting picked before every pick just to see if there was a draft that went or a trade that went down. But it's just so I don't like it. It's so annoying having to not even be able to look at my phone during the draft. I want to, and then Woj literally comes on the TV to report yeah, they're gonna be picking this guy here with this pick. It's just dude,
just let it happen.
I'm trying to avoid you on Twitter, and now I have to avoid the TV that tells me who's getting picked.
What can I do?
How am I supposed to find out organically? It's so frustrating.
I want to figure out the same times the players do.
Yeah.
And Paulo knew when Woj said it. I mean, he knew before it ever happened.
He probably knew the players know before they get picked.
Yeah. But I'm saying when the rest of the fan base, I guess would be the better way of saying it. I want it to be Adam Silver telling me who's getting picked. That's what I want every single time. I don't want anybody else. Which I agree with you. It's just annoying.
Yeah.
Just Twitter's ruined everything.
My next loser is DeAndre Ayton. I think he might lose out on some money here because the Detroit Pistons were the number one team rumored to be going after DeAndre Ayton. And as much as, I was excited to get DeAndre Ayton after this draft, it's not really looking like the Pistons
need him.
Are going to be aggressively pursuing him. Yeah, maybe if no other team goes after him, but we don't really need him at this point. We have a lot of big man depth. We have other needs, I feel that we could use that money for. Obviously, DeAndre Ayton would still be great on this team, but it's not really looking like we need him that much. And what other teams are out there to go after him? I think the San Antonio Spurs are one of the main ones. But
Trailblazers just lost a lot of their money getting Jeremy Grant.
Exactly. If no other team goes after DeAndre Ayton except for one team, they're not going to overpay for you because they don't have to. So Ayton could definitely lose out on some money. And obviously, playing with Cade Cunningham, non-bias, was probably his best option as a free agent.
And to grow.
Exactly. And that's probably out the window now. So I have Ayton as a loser.
Yeah, he was going to be 23 years old as a second option on a growing young team. Next to Sadiq Bey, who also is a freak. Next to Jaden Ivey, who could grow. But now I think you're right. I think we have needs at forward. We need some wings.
Yeah, we need some wings for sure.
I still, Miles Bridges is still in question. What are some other wings in free agency, man?
There's not many other young wings, but there's a lot of veterans.
I would take a veteran wing.
Kyle Anderson is one of the main ones.
Slow-mo would be dope.
Gary Harris is a underrated one. There's a lot more, but I
wish he was a big wing.
I can't think of them at the moment, but. There's definitely a lot of veteran wings in this free agency. Pistons need to go get some wings. Get some wings. We need shooters, too. We definitely need some shooters on this team.
Yeah, definitely. What are we on, winners or losers? Winners.
You have 2 winners left, right?
Yeah, technically. Yeah, I have 2 winners. I'm going to go with my one right here, OKC. What a great draft. You traded away picks. You got Usman Jang for those picks. It seems like the moves that the Thunder are going to be making now every year, where you're going to have to trade 3 picks to get one rookie back. Like I said, this is going to be the G League All-Star team. They're going to win the G League every year for the next 10 years.
League too.
This team is just loaded with young talent. But it was nice to see where we might be able to see the Thunder, that direction they're headed. Mm-hmm. They have to start dealing away some of these picks. They don't have enough roster space. Nobody does for as many picks as they do. And getting Chet Holmgren's perfect. Usman Jang, perfect. And then going and getting a guard like Jalen Williams, who's also a very good playmaker. And then getting Jalen Williams again, who is a big defender who can do a lot on the floor. I can just imagine, Jalen, you're starting tonight. Which one?
Let's go, both of them. Anytime you can get two dudes with the same name in the draft is just a dub. You know how awesome that's going to be in the locker room trying to get one of their attention. What a great idea.
Jalen.
Hey, Jalen. Hey, Williams. J-Dub. Shit. Why did we do this? Yeah, the Thunder definitely, I like what they did getting rid of some of the picks, but they just have so many young dudes, and it's just like, what is their plan? Like, I still think their plan is to dump all of the picks next year to get Wembanyama but the thing is, what if they just get the first overall pick? Like,
and then they're screwed.
And then they just still have all the picks, and it's just like, dude, I kind of didn't want the first pick, like, just so we could trade for it.
Maybe at that point you pair like a couple of your young guys and go get your superstar. Go get a Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
At that point, I don't know whoever is on the market at that time. Maybe whether it be Bradley Beal or whatever.
Let's try to think about all the young dudes on that team that need to get some minutes next year. We'll start at guard. Obviously, you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You have Josh Giddey. You have Lou Dort. You have Trey Mann, who was pretty good rookie year last year. You still have like Teo Maledon, who probably like will fall out eventually.
That's basically it.
You have Jalen Williams, who you just drafted. Forwards, you have Ousmane Dieng. You have Darius Baisley. You have, you said Lou Dort. You have Alexei Pokusevsky. You have
You're really good at this. You are really good at this.
There's more too. I just can't think of it. Isaiah Roby is in that
Isaiah
mix.
Roby.
And then big man was where they were lacking. Yeah. Like, you have Chat, you have like Jeremiah Robinson Earl. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But like, there's just a lot of young dudes in that. I mean, we just said like 12 names at least.
That's the way to grow is to play too, which is
especially as young guys, you have to just get minutes. But they'll figure it out. I mean, as a team that isn't under pressure to win games, you can plan out who's going to play whatever night. And stuff.
You can kind of do like a 3 rosters.
Yeah.
Okay, tonight roster A is playing. These 8 guys. Tomorrow night roster. It's basically load management, but planned.
Yeah.
And it might not be a bad idea.
No, it's not. But eventually, when you have a guy like Shai, how long can you tell Shai? All right, Shai, you're resting like once a week, every week, so we can get
Trey Mann
some minutes. Yeah, it's just like eventually it's like, all right, dude, I want to play and like be really good. So who knows?
So I have one more loser left.
I gotta say my winner next.
Oh, yep.
If you just want to let me go.
All right, I will.
My next winner is the Houston Rockets. I think the Rockets back-to-back years have had phenomenal drafts. Last year they had 4 first-round picks, getting Jalen Green, Josh Christopher, Şengün, and Usman Garuba. This year, Jabari Smith falls to them at pick 3. Obviously, I think that it seemed like he was going to go first or second. He falls to 3. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player. So getting him at 3, I think, is a great dub. Tari Eason, who they got in the middle of the first round, is one of the more known slept-on guys in this draft. A great defender. He's just a perfect guy to add into a mix of young guys with a high motor like he has. And then getting Ty Washington late in the first round as well, I think is great because they don't have much point guard depth. If Kevin Porter Jr., they don't want to extend him on his next contract.
Totally valid.
Exactly.
You can totally not extend that guy.
Yeah, exactly. So, and obviously John Wall's not going to be there very long, so you definitely need some backup point guard type of minutes. Ty could be really good. I mean, you got him at pick 29 or something.
Yeah.
He's one of the best true point guards in this class, I think, that people regarded him as.
Yeah, he could become the best playmaker in the draft. No
100%.
doubt about it. Him and Dyson Daniels are probably the front runners for best playmakers in the draft.
And you got rid of Christian Wood, so you cleared up minutes for all these guys to play. I think if you can get rid of Eric Gordon in free agency here, the Rockets are doing it right now.
Mm-hmm. I'm really hoping. Never mind. I was going to say something, but I'm going to leave it for later. It was about the Pistons.
So you have one or 2 more losers left?
Only one.
All right.
Because I mentioned the Knicks when you mentioned the Knicks.
So let me say one of my losers first so we can so I don't have to do 2 in a row. My next loser is the Brooklyn Nets. Simply because KD and Kyrie could be gone. And obviously, on draft night, you wanted to maybe see if you could get some intel on what's going on. Damian Lillard posted the picture of him and KD in the Blazers jerseys, and it's
they have the high pick.
What the hell's going on? And I think they didn't do anything in specific on draft night to make them a loser, but I just have them as a loser because Kyrie is probably for sure gone, and that could mean KD is gone. And as much as you the trade package getting back for them would be great, you're losing KD and Kyrie. That's just not anything that you'd like to do. So I just have them as a loser because they're in such a horrible situation.
And what does Ben Simmons do if KD and Kyrie are both not there? Does he just never play a game in a Brooklyn jersey? They trade for 4 players in 2 years, and hardly any of them play. Just an awful look. My last loser he is not a loser. This isn't I don't know how to word this. It's Max Christie.
I have Max Christie as my last loser, too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I feel so bad for this kid, dude. And he isn't a loser.
Literally, bro, I got him right there, dude.
It's like, I feel so bad for this guy. I'll let you talk about him, actually, because he is from your college. You go for it.
Damn, I feel bad for Max Christie, dude. Like, as much as it's cool to, like, getting drafted by the Lakers, it's got to be cool. Like, you have LeBron James on the Lakers. Like, the Lakers are one of the most profound organizations, and they took a risk on you. That's got to be a cool feeling. But the fact that Skip Bayless tweets out literally after they picked him, the dude that got picked in the second round, and is already, the Lakers picked Max Christie, who shot 30-some% from three. He'll fit great with Westbrook. It's just like, this dude literally just threw on the Lakers cap, and he's already getting flamed by the media.
Dude hasn't played a game.
He is set up for such failure, and I hate it. Like, I feel so bad for him because the Lakers don't have any young capital, young assets at all. So the fact that he's like one of their only ones, now he's under pressure to be like a young star. Like, think about Taylor Horton-Tucker. He had a few flashes of being great.
In a summer league.
Everyone is like, okay, he's going to be nuts. And then he wasn't, and now everyone hates him. And it's like, dude, he went in the late second round. You thought he was going to be a star? Like, why is this all this pressure? Christie's going to be the same exact way. And Christie's a guy that has to develop. Like, he clearly was taking a risk going to the draft rather than coming back. He needs a lot of work. And he went to a team that is probably the worst situation to develop. Like, he's just not – he's going to be under pressure to be a contributor from day one, and that's not a good situation for him.
No, it really sucks, and it says a lot about the organization when their 35th overall pick is expected to come in and be great, like instantly. This guy was taken 35th overall. That means there were 34 teams, or I guess 34 picks where people thought there were better players than this guy. And you expect him to come in and contribute? Oh, man. And Skip Bayless, what a clown. Screw that guy. Tweeting that shit about a 20-year-old. What a loser. Yeah. Dude hasn't even played a game in the NBA. It, made me so mad reading that. Because it was like, this guy shouldn't be expected to do this. Look, and he could end up being great. No doubt about it. Max Christie has all the tools. And he's got all the connections in the league. Draymond Green mentions, he should be an all-star. Last guy to go 35th overall from a state was Draymond Green, who will be a Hall of Famer. So I'm really rooting for Christie just because, oh, man, screw Skip Bayless. What a loser. Yeah. I can't believe you'd say that about a 20-year-old. As a guy who never played professional hoops.
And shout out Westbrook. He quoted the tweet and called out Skip Bayless, which obviously he deserves it. I've never been a Skip Bayless guy anyways.
No, and why in the tweet, you said Westbrook. Why not call him LeBrick if you're going to say he's bad at shooting? Like, it was set up for you to say LeBrick and Westbrook. Yeah. But you were like LeBron and Westbrook. You're an idiot, dude. That wasn't even a good tweet. No, you suck at Twitter.
It was bad. Last winner. What do you got?
I got the Atlanta Hawks getting AJ Griffin. Man, talk about having tons of assets. They have great wing depth. AJ Griffin has time to grow, especially with his injury history with his legs. Really excited to see what he can do in Atlanta. That's all I got for him.
That was definitely he fell a little bit in the draft, and I think Atlanta's a great spot for him to go. Definitely. My last winner is this Philadelphia 76ers acquiring DeAnthony Melton. I think that's a huge pickup for them. Like that, I think that was like the most underrated thing about this draft was they traded the 23rd pick and Danny Green to get Melton, another great, guard defender that they can add to this team that didn't really have a lot of good defenders other than Matisse Thybulle at this point, and Matisse Thybulle kind of got played off the floor late in the season. So adding DeAnthony Melton to that guard room, I think, is huge for Philly. So that's just a dub for them.
Dub.
So that's it for our winners and losers. Let us know if there's any other teams that you thought, or players or whoever, that were winners and losers. Because they're definitely, it's up for interpretation and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to go through quick. Obviously, we're going to talk about some rumors. But I want to talk about Bleacher Report. Right after the draft, they made 5 bold free agency predictions. Thought we'd go through them. One of them involves the Pistons, and I think it will get us into our last segment of just what we want the Pistons to do starting on Thursday. So the first one, this one isn't very bold. It just said the Pistons will buy out Kemba Walker, and he will go to the Lakers. I definitely could see that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
And he's probably going to sign for the minimum wherever he goes because he's already getting this money from the Pistons anyways.
He'd be a good guy to be in LA.
Probably.
In all honesty, he's been under their bright lights for a long time. So
and they need another point guard.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, I guess they have Westbrook.
But I don't know. I would love a true point guard in LA.
Yeah.
Because Kemba isn't. He's a 4 assists, 6 assists a game type of guy.
Yeah, he's just a scoring point guard.
Yeah, but I guess that's a good guy to pair next to Brown, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, shooter. If he can
we
shoot the
saw what
ball well.
Kyrie did well. LeBron, you can pair anybody with LeBron. You saw what Rondo did next to Brown. You saw what Kyrie did. It's all. It don't matter who you
So that was not very bold, but
yeah, whatever. Bleacher Report.
But the first two involved the Pistons. Like, this is wild.
Oh, the second one involves the
the
Pistons?
second one is like about the Pistons. Second one, Pistons throw max at Miles Bridges, not DeAndre Ayton. I think it's a valid prediction.
Yeah.
I think that after the draft, it's kind of clear that getting Jalen Durant was more that was plan A for the Pistons, was getting him and not getting DeAndre Ayton. And Miles Bridges makes more sense to give him the max to fit in with this team rather than DeAndre Ayton, even though I think most can agree Ayton is probably the more profound guy to go after, I guess, just in general. But for fit-wise, I think Bridges fits better. I like it.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of pressure off the young guys, too, to bring in Bridges, you know. Jaden Ivey takes a lot of pressure off Jaden Ivey. Takes a lot of pressure off Jalen Durant and Beef Stew, who aren't going to be relied on to score the ball as nearly as much if we bring in Miles Bridges. Versus DeAndre Ayton, he makes a lot of competition, which is great. Competition usually leads to growth in most situations. But, man, it'd be an awesome fit to have Miles Bridges. We need a wing. He's the best one available, and we pay him a max now. In 4 years, that contract might look really good.
Mm-hmm. And he's going to, I mean, how fun would it be? Like, as much as, obviously, it could be an overpay to pay Miles Bridges, all close to $30 million. Like, that's a lot of money for a guy like that has never made an All-Star game yet, and last year he broke out. But how fun is a lineup of Cade, Ivy, Sadiq, Miles Bridges, and B. Stu / Jalen Durant?
It's awesome.
Like, that is dumb fun. Imagine the lobs. Like,
yeah. And you want to slide one of those guys out? You want to slide Jaden Ivey, put Sadiq at the 2? Oh, yeah, just toss Jalen Durant at the 4.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Run a humongous lineup. It creates so much versatility. Miles Bridges is such a versatile player. He can guard bigger than he is, or he can play offense smaller than he is. Oh, man, it'd just be a perfect situation for the Pistons.
You want to stretch the floor a little bit? Oh, bring in Kelly Olynyk to go off the bench. We still have him.
Yep.
He ain't going nowhere. So, yeah, we'll talk more about that one after these, but just about the Pistons in general, too. The third one involves DeAndre Ayton. They think DeAndre Ayton will end up in San Antonio. Makes sense because where else is he going to go? Like I feel like he might end up just going back to Phoenix at this point.
Yeah.
Like if no one else decides to give him max money. But the Spurs, there's been weird talks about DeJounte Murray getting traded. I don't think they should do that. I think like him breaking out last year, he's going to be a stud. He already is.
He should stay with Spurs forever.
Exactly. He already is a stud. Even though him in Atlanta with Trae Young would be pretty crazy.
So dirty.
Yeah.
So dirty.
But bring DeAndre Ayton to the Spurs. You have a nice core of Murray, Ayton. They drafted Jeremy Sohan. You have Devin Vassell, Primo, Keldon Johnson. I don't know if there's a sign and trade to happen there.
You probably trade
Jakob
Jakob
Poeltl probably goes back, but
Poeltl, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great. I think that would make a lot of sense for the Spurs to go after that. Number 4 is that the New York Knicks overpay and bring Jalen Brunson to the Madison Square Garden. Definitely could see this happening. I feel like he's still going to be in a Mavericks jersey, but I don't know. The Knicks hired his dad as like an assistant coach or something in this in the staff signing. So they're trying their ass off to get Jalen Brunson, and it's just, I shout out to them for being aggressive, but it's.
You guys are continually making too fast of moves. Just rebuild for once. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
I know it's crazy to rebuild in a city like New York, but god damn. I think if they overpay for Jalen Brunson, that is the next part in the long line of shit Knicks moves. I don't see it working out. Jalen Brunson can't be that guy in my eyes, like the true guy to put you over the top. And I think overpaying for him is just the wrong move.
We'll see what ends up happening with the Knicks. Even if like Randall gets moved, we'll see. And the last one is that Bradley Beal goes with the sign and trade route rather than returning to Washington. I think this one makes sense. He said something on a podcast about how looking back at his career, he wants to make sure he put himself in the best position to win. So it makes it sound a lot like he's going to be leaving Washington because they are not in a very good position to win. There was talks about Washington trading their 10th pick to try to get a veteran point guard like a Malcolm Brogdon, which they didn't do. They ended up drafting Johnny Davis, which I think is a great pick for them at 10, but doesn't move the needle for them to compete at all. Like, they're still going to be bad. So I think Bradley Beal probably is gone. I just don't know where, though. Like, I don't know where he goes, where makes sense for a team to trade for him, what kind of package they even get for Bradley Beal. I'm not really sure, but
I would love to see a Tyler Hero move out of to the Miami Heat, but I don't know how realistic that is.
Yeah, I don't know either. Because if it's a sign and trade, like, do you even want to give up? Like, do you even have to give up Tyler Hero? I don't really know. Like, I'm not really sure how that's going to work, but that's their bold prediction. So, first thing we got to talk about is Kevin Durant. You know, like we said, Damian Lillard made this post on his Instagram story, and all it was him and KD rocking the Blazers jerseys, and he didn't make any caption. He just put it on there.
Hard-ass jerseys, by the way. Hard.
It looked really cool. And I got to thinking, I was like, well, if KD is to get traded, let's just say it starts with Kyrie getting moved. If KD is to get traded, where is it to? So I looked up where, like KD trade ideas. And I think it was CBS Sports or somebody made a ranking all 30 teams on like how likely they are to trade for KD or makes the most sense. And they put them all in tiers, which I thought was really cool. Like the bottom tier was like literally can't trade for him or KD wouldn't go there. And then one of them was like the Pistons were in the second lowest tier, but it was like could trade for him, but doesn't really make sense. And then there was a tier, the top tier was 4 teams. I thought it was actually kind of interesting. Portland was in there. Phoenix Suns were in there, which I think makes a lot of sense. You have like Ayton and Mikal Bridges trade for KD. I think that's a pretty good return for getting KD. The Miami Heat were in there, which, once again, makes sense. You have Tyler Hero as your young asset, but you've tried to trade everything else involved in there.
You have Duncan who can match money if you need be. You've got a lot of moves there.
And then the Memphis Grizzlies were I think they might have been the number 1 team.
Dude, that would be crazy.
Which, I mean, they have a lot of draft capital going forward. They have a contract in Steven Adams that they could move in there, but they have a lot of money in general, so it's not like they can't trade for him. But Portland, I think, is the one. I think Portland low-key is the one. They have the 7th pick in Shaedon Sharpe, who is a crazy potential guy. If Brooklyn goes full rebuild, it would be a good spot for him to go. You have like Anthony Simons, who is a sign-and-trade guy this offseason. I think if you're the Brooklyn Nets, you take a look at your packages. Getting a package that includes Simons and Shaedon Sharpe and obviously future picks is something.
Yeah, absolutely. I still think the Suns is probably better.
Probably.
If you can get a sign and trade with even just like DA. That's a lot of return for Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
For a guy who won't play for you no matter what. Man, the floor spacing is horrendous.
Yeah.
But man, Portland, him and Dame playing next to each other.
That'd be cool.
Him and D Book playing next to each other. That would be
Jeremy Grant would be with them too.
Oh, dude.
I mean, all those guys played Team USA in the summer.
Got a connection.
Yeah.
The chirping from those teams would just be all 3 of those teams.
Jeremy Grant he would hold him back though. He'd be like the glue guy.
Yeah, facts. Shut up, KD. Shut up. You came here to play with us.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, all just depends on Kyrie. There was a thing about Kyrie because they said if he's going to get moved, he's going to opt into his option and get traded, which I feel like is going to lower his trade value a ton because then he's on an expiring deal.
Yep.
If you're a team, do you want to trade for Kyrie, who is easily the most unpredictable player in the NBA, maybe ever, who's on an expiring contract and hasn't played a full season since he was in Boston, his second year in Boston?
Yeah, he played the whole season that year.
Yeah.
He didn't play the whole season his first year.
No.
Damn.
So, like the
it's been a minute since we've seen a full Kyrie.
I know. The 6 teams they listed that like could go after Kyrie are the Clippers, the Sixers, the Knicks, the Lakers, the Mavericks, and the Heat. I think obviously the Heat just having Hero makes the Heat are going to be involved in about every single one. The Mavericks, I really don't know what they would have, but like I said, is the trade value that high? Like, is it just going to be a bunch of picks? Like, it probably could be in salary.
Give him back Dinwiddie.
Yeah, Dinwiddie, Dwight Powell, and picks.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it sounds like a horrible trade, but like,
what else could they do?
You could be getting 1 year of Kyrie and then he's gone. So, what do you really want to do? So that's going to be interesting to see what goes down there. Other rumors include like John Collins could be getting traded. Rudy Gobert obviously is still there. And I put DeJounte Murray. But let's talk about the Pistons now, finally. What we want the Pistons to do in free agency. So are we team Like, if you had to get a max to Bridges or Ayton, what are you team?
Bridges. I'm team Bridges.
Yeah.
Based on fit, and I think Bridges really still has the ability to continue to excel and continue to get better. He only has so far in his career. Even when he came back to Michigan State, he improved that big time, and I don't think he's going to stop anytime soon. What I would hate to do is I think DeAndre Ayton is more established, however. I think there's a much higher chance that he doesn't, come to Detroit and fall off. There is still a chance with Miles Bridges. He comes to Detroit, and all of a sudden it's like, man, you aren't as good as we thought you were. You aren't improving. You're sticking around right where you've been, and you're now overpaid. But you can just trade him at that point. Give him to a team that needs filler. I'm team Miles Bridges. I would just love to see what that starting five looks like with Beef Stewart, Jalen Duren at the 5.
I am also team Miles Bridges. I definitely do think there is a route, though. Well, it said the Pistons and the Pacers were 2 teams that are expected to go after, like give the max to Miles Bridges, which if we do, I'm cool with it. But I definitely think there is a route where we don't sign Miles Bridges and we sign 2 or 3 vets, because this team has no vets. Like,
None.
we have Corey Joe.
22-year-old is our best player in our core.
Exactly. Like, we have Corey Joseph. Other than him, it is, we have Olynyk, I guess, too. But it's straight young dudes. Like, as much as I want to say after this draft, Pistons, playoffs, lock it in, like, we got younger in this draft.
Yeah.
So, like,
much younger.
Much younger.
So you got 2 rookies who are going to be rotational
which I don't mind.
players.
Like, we could easily grow and still not be a playoff team, which obviously I would like to be, but it's not the end of the world. Like, I don't have the same expectations as I did a week ago.
Yeah.
But so I'm just looking at some of the free agents. Like, I heard Torian Prince was a guy the Pistons might be interested in. Just a nice 3-and-D wing. I mean, we definitely need shooters. We need 3-and-D guys.
Isn't
100%.
he from the D?
Yeah, I think he is.
I think he's from Detroit.
I'm pretty sure he is from Detroit. Like Joe Ingles is a free agent. Jeremy Lamb.
Oh, God, not Joe Ingles. Please, not Joe Ingles.
Kyle Anderson, PJ Tucker, but I doubt PJ Tucker would come here.
No.
I'm just trying to look at
I would
some
love
of these,
to see Kyle
these
Anderson.
wing players. Yeah, Gary Harris is a guy that's just been rumored. Like, if you can get him for cheap, that would be cool. Just to get some like vets on this team. Like,
we don't
you
need
could
to
bring
go out
Josh
and
Jackson
overpay.
back. Yeah. Obviously, there is a hole at the 4. But I do think there's a world where you start Beef Stew at the 4 with Jalen Duren.
Yeah,
or you bring back Marvin Bagley still.
Yeah, and then you have Kelly Olynyk, Bagley, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart. They rotate
nice big man
4 or
core.
5 out the whole
Because
time.
Bagley and Kelly Olynyk played off the bench with each other. Like,
Yeah, that can easily
every
happen.
game when Bagley played last year.
Yeah,
so.
on offense, you stick Kelly Olynyk at the 4, Bagley's at 5, vice versa on defense. Oh, man, I would love to see those 4 big men in Pistons jerseys
There really
next
isn't
year.
a crazy amount of like wing, like Otto Porter, but he's not going to come to the Pistons. Like, he's going to go compete somewhere. So
Why
there
do you
isn't
say
a crazy.
that?
I mean, I just doubt
You
he
just
wants
feel
to.
like it?
I would assume he would.
Yeah, I guess after the
coming off a
Warriors.
championship.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously, like, or TJ Warren is on there too. I mean, if you can get him on like a 1-year deal, maybe. Not really though. We don't really. He's not really a 4 either.
No,
like,
he's an undersized 3.
yeah. Like, even like Derek Jones Jr. wouldn't be bad, but
I
these are
would
just
like
some
the guy
options.
who can play defense.
Yeah.
I want a guy who can. Derek Jones Jr. is not that guy.
I definitely would say he's more of a defender than he is anything else.
Yeah, good point.
But we need shooters though. Like,
Yeah.
obviously we do need defense too, but we need some guys that can shoot, because if you do run a starting lineup of, like, let's say we get Bridges, you run your lineup of Cade, Ivy, Sadiq, Bridges, and Beef Stew. The team can shoot, like, they're gonna shoot threes. But last year we were one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league, and we didn't bring in any 3-point specialists into that lineup. Like, Ivy, he shoots threes, not his main thing. Bridges, he shoots threes, not his main thing. So
yeah,
we definitely need to add just some straight sharpshooters onto this team.
yeah. I hope Cade really grows into a lights out catch and shoot shooter, and maybe a slight. And he definitely has off the dribble to step back. He's definitely got that in his bag.
His
but-
mid range is just absolutely
Yeah,
cash.
I would
already.
just love for him to become lights out, so we don't have to worry about shooting quite as much.
Yeah.
Sadiq and him can do a lot of our shooting, and then Jaden Ivey, of course, he will chip in a 3 or 2 a game, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Maybe shoots a lot. He could very well grow like Donovan Mitchell did, where eventually he is a knockdown shooter, and you can't
Except
leave
he's
him
got
open.
that true guard next to him right off the rip. You
Yeah.
don't have to wait a couple years. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's pretty much it for this podcast. We'll probably do our next podcast maybe like Friday, because free agency starts on Thursday. So
Oh, we got to do the sauce draft this week.
we do have to do the sauce draft.
That'll be a late
so,
night cast.
Yeah, we'll do the sauce draft, but we'll definitely have to do a pod right after free agency, like the first day or two, just so we can, get our first reactions to that. But be excited for a big week of NBA offseason and drama because there's going to be a lot of talks and stuff these next couple of days about what's going to happen in free agency. So, quick final prediction: where's Zach LaVine playing next year?
Chicago Bulls.
All right, I was going to say the Bulls, but now I'm trying to think of something else. Just so, Portland Trailblazers.
Yes, sir.
The Blazers are getting somebody.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's it, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Peace.
Bye.